Hello and welcome back to another episode of What Do People Do podcast. It's been a while. These boys clearly aren't. He's clearly not.
I'm so good at not laughing then. I purposely didn't look at him because I knew what the fuck.
If you guys listening or watching this, you don't understand how hard it is to try and get this podcast to start. He loves to get lifting his shirt.
Sorry.
I'm not even going to restart the podcast. I'm just going to carry on from there. I think everyone who's been listening and watching our other videos will know that these two are really shocking at not laughing. Both of you.
What are you doing?
We've not even said any jokes yet, and these guys are laughing so much. If you sat in your car listening to this, or if you got it in your AirPods or whatever it is, and you're walking down the street, you'll have no idea why they're laughing.
Still going.
It's so hard to make a podcast when your co-hosts just laugh at everything you say.
It's not me. He started fucking laughing.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Should we start again? Episode 11. They've just sat for the last 10 minutes going, what are we going to talk about? And as soon as I started the podcast, they just both started laughing. And they're still laughing now.
Right, I'm ready. It's like I've been crying.
I know. Right.
I'm not going to laugh.
You're not going to laugh? Honestly, let's just start the podcast. Right. So today, I actually can't speak if you guys are going to keep laughing.
Let me get rid of my red eyes.
I've not even said anything and you guys are laughing so much.
As soon as you started talking.
He's like that kid in school who sat in the back of the class and teacher's like, right, if you laugh again, you're going to go out. And then he's just sat there like...
Get sent out.
So when you look at your mate and you're like, you probably try not to catch eyes.
No, look at them. Right, I'm ready.
Right.
Oh, can you give me 5 so my eyes sort themselves out?
No, we're going to carry on.
It's good for the thumbnail.
So, welcome to episode 11. This has been a while. It's been a long time coming. I think for the people that have seen or haven't seen, I guess, we haven't uploaded until last week.
For a long
Since
time.
May, I think it was.
I don't know.
We recorded our last episode in May with our great guest James, who was on with us, and it went really well. We learnt lots. I think it was a good episode for you because he was an entrepreneur. I think you can see yourself becoming something like that at some point in your career. But I think it came to a point where we were just slacking because it was going so well. It was kind of like, this doesn't feel real in a way because we were getting good guests on. We were kind of regularly organising when we do the podcast. We were kind of keeping up to a schedule with short form content for Instagram and TikTok and posting kind of as regularly as we could do with the main videos.
It went from 100 to 0 quite quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like we all just kind of took a back seat and kind of just
the summer
expected.
holidays didn't help though.
Yeah.
Like someone would go away for a week, then another person would be away. And then if one person's away, then that's one job not getting done. And then then it just moved to the point where like we just did nothing.
It makes you realise why businesses have annual leave because otherwise everyone's just off at the same time and you're like, nothing's happening now.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of taught us, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, like, lads, we've not posted since May, what are we actually going to do now? Are we sacking it off or do we want to carry on? I think the collective decision was we really enjoy it. It's really fun. We learned lots from the kind of small amount of time we did do from January till March or May, sorry. So why the hell not just carry on and just kind of continue getting cool guests on, learn lots, insightful conversations, and hopefully we'll learn even more. Doesn't matter if anyone listens or watches it, at least we're going to benefit from it. Yeah. That's my mindset on it anyway.
Do you know what? One of our guests.
You can't say that.
I was going to get cut out. I love how you whispered it like he's not in front of a mic.
Barry.
Alan.
Alan's not going to be happy with that.
One of our guests, Alan. I definitely incorporated some of the stuff that he said in the podcast in my life.
Very much like
honestly,
no nonsense.
Vinted, right? I'm doing some mega deals on Vinted at the moment
because of him.
Following that advice, mate.
Expert negotiator on Vinted.
Let them sort of state their price first and then go for it. Okay. Let them lay it down on the table and then you can work around it. Yeah. But yeah, I've definitely learned a few things over the few podcasts that we've done. James, I did really enjoy as well. Ben, that was really interesting. Sorry, what's your cousin called?
Jacob.
Oh my god. You're gonna have to cut this out.
I love it. I'm keeping it. This guy doesn't know anyone's name.
Benny's your cousin.
That's my other cousin.
Barry and Ben, the two guys behind that time.
If any Barry or Ben's are watching or listening, your fans are coming on to Eddie can talk about how good you were. No, if you haven't noticed, or if you're watching on YouTube, I've now got glasses because I can't see. Eddie's now got no hair, and Charlie's got a beard. So
and dementia. I can't remember anyone's name.
A bit's changed since we last recorded, but I think it's funny because when I was thinking about what we'd done in the time we hadn't done a podcast, like we just said, it feels like we've not really done much. It's not like we've all just gone, oh, I'll find another venture in my life and I'll commit to doing this and I'll sack the podcast off, because we just didn't really, as a collective, neither one of us stood up and was like, lads, what's happening? We just waited until, I think I sent a message in the middle of summer and then you sent a message a couple of weeks ago. And then we were like, right, we're actually going to need to do something about it now. Yeah. But I think it's really, really good to get back to it. And we've got a few interesting guests that we're excited to line up soon. And hopefully, if you stay tuned, you'll be excited too.
name a mate.
God, yeah.
I can't tell you that yet.
Who we got?
Barry and Ben. His name's actually Barry Ben. But I think the idea of the podcast, like we've been discussing, is to interview people and to learn new things. But I think it's important that we also kind of sit back and have a bit of reflective time and kind of take a step back and see what we actually have learned. And like Eddie said, a bit of a dumb example, but I've learned how to barter on Vinted now.
I know how to negotiate.
But there are things from the guests that, just like in terms of their motivation levels and like how it shows how hard you have to work to get to like the positions that they're in, especially people like Elijah, who he showed us his calendar and it was ridiculous, wasn't it? It was just,
there's no stop, is there? It's go 24/7. It's again what he said. He said, what's his name?
Elijah.
No.
Alan.
Oh
my God.
I keep going.
What are you going to say?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't remember, lad.
Oh my God.
You're going to have a good day.
Right, if anyone, we're looking for a new co-host. If anyone can actually speak for more than 20 minutes without forgetting anything, then we'll hire you.
That was good.
But I think from the podcast we have done and the people that we've had on, I think the key theme is like hard work, and if you're dedicated to something enough, then you'll kind of pave your own path. It's not really about just kind of seeing what happens. I think a lot of people will just wait until like a door opens and then just push and see if they can get through it. But what they've kind of taught us, in my opinion anyway, is that you have to keep pushing on as many doors as you can. It's no good just kind of waiting for the door to come and then trying it. If you're constantly like pushing on doors, eventually one of them will open, and it might be something that benefits your life in a positive way. I think for myself, over the last few months, whilst we've not been podcasting, I've been spending a lot of time kind of just at work thinking, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Probably like a lot of people watching or listening, they might be in a position similar where you get home and you kind of cook dinner, watch a bit of TV, go to bed, get up, do the same thing. On the weekend, you might go, right, it's 2 days off. Let's go do something fun, go on a dog walk or go play golf or play football or spend time with my other half, whatever it is. And then you're back to it on Monday. And I think for the last, since May till now, because we haven't had the podcast, I've kind of missed it, but I haven't known that I've missed it until we kind of start talking about it again. I don't know if you guys have had the same feeling where you just feel like you're kind of floating through weeks and like they kind of merge into one. Like I couldn't really tell you what I've done the last 5 months, but I kind of have done quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people get stuck in that like cycle of, it is easy to almost just like Monday to Friday work, and then everyone views like Saturday, Sunday as like now that's my time to rest. But if anything, I feel like they are the days that like that's your time to figure out,
make the difference.
What are you like? Are you doing really? If you're doing what you're doing like and you love it, then that's fair enough. But I feel like a lot of people aren't. I think the biggest thing I learned from a lot of them was from James's, and it was like I think a lot of people expect like this perfect like path to where they're gonna like end up. And I think if you ask someone like James if he expected to be where he was gonna be, like I don't think he would have probably given the answer he did. But like he just took chances, like took risks. I mean, he was an accountant, then he moved to like related stuff, but it's not really within his like.
Well, it wasn't. He said it wasn't until someone said to him, "You'd be a good CEO," or "You'd be good at that," and then you kind of start to believe it yourself.
But he acted on it. Like it's one thing someone tell you that you're good at something, but that's not really enough to like normally push someone over the line to do it. Like you could tell someone they're good at something, it doesn't mean they're then gonna like pursue it. But I think for me especially, like in terms of jobs and everything, like not waiting for that like perfect opportunity and just start changing something and then just see what happens from it.
It's like me and Eddie, we've started filming some like golf videos. I think in the back of our head we were like, we know that content creators in the golf world end up getting invited to like Warrior to play at programs and stuff, and we were like, why don't we just start and see what happens? And I think it's scary, like we were saying, you get on the course with a camera, or you get anywhere in public and you're filming in public and you go, people are watching, this is scary, like I don't really like that feeling. But then what comes of doing it, if you keep staying consistent and you keep uploading and you eventually get to a position where you're getting invited to the things that you were kind of dreaming of years before, you think, oh, it was worth it for that little bit of embarrassment of someone watching me film. Because then people do go, what are you doing? What are you doing? Same like if there was someone stood in this room now watching us, it would be a bit odd. Yeah. Because you feel like a bit like, I don't really want to.
Well, I guess when you first start, everyone kind of looks at you and is like, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing? Oh, it's stupid. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. But eventually, the more you do it, you are the guy with the camera. Like on a golf course or doing a podcast, you are the podcast guy.
Yeah.
There's lots of examples. I think I bet the four brothers who did that, who did it all on TikTok. Now they're on golf. Stuff. And I bet they got absolutely rinsed. They probably still do at times. But they're now, to me, they're just the guys with the cameras now. And especially to the people who know them, I bet everyone was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? But now, because they just went for it and they've done it and they've just blown up. Like,
it was just like they were doing like the relatable videos on TikTok, weren't they, through COVID? They started pretty much at the same time we were doing TikToks. And then Or it was all we were in all of them.
I was in them, but you.
It's on my account, but we did all.
Not mine.
Anyway, that's past the point. What they started as a TikTok account making relatable videos, just like funny skits, and then kind of kept doing it. The following was growing, which is great. They're creating like that audience. I think what's tough is I've been reading a book as well about audiences and turning that into what was the word they used? Community. So it's all right having an audience because then that's just eyes on you. But if you don't have a community, it's just meaningless eyes. It's like there's no point looking at a shop window unless you're going to go in it. So if you don't have a good display, no one's ever going to come in. So for them, I guess, they end up finding the right people who are watching them, turn them into a bit of a community. And then they were like, right, we'll transition onto YouTube. And now they've built that
Rick Shields is obviously, he's built a really good community, and it's obviously big enough now that he can sort of host live podcasts. You went to one of them.
Yeah.
How was it? And is there anything you learned? Like, was it
I think,
was it interesting?
Like you said, I think the main thing is that he knows that he's at the point where he's got such a big community that when he puts on an event like that, he knows he's going to get people there, and he knows that whatever he talks about, everyone in that room is probably listened to his last 10, 20, 30 podcasts, and kind of you have those running jokes, those inside jokes, and I think that's so important when you're doing content creation, and to have that community behind you makes it so much easier to grow as well, because then I might have gone to the live podcast and gone, guys, it was really good. Next time, come with me. Then you'll come. Then you'll tell your friends. Then they'll go. And then it just builds it bigger and bigger. And then in business senses, if you can then turn that community into sales and go, well, all these people, giving them free stuff 90% of the time, free YouTube videos, free podcasts, free whatever it is, TikToks, Instagram Reels, and then suddenly, I'm selling merch. Yeah. And you're only selling to them 10% of the time. Then people are going to be like, well, I've got so many free stuff from him. I kind of trust him. I trust what they're doing. Now it's perfect time to buy merch. You know what I mean?
There's so many avenues. I mean, it's not even just like you say the free stuff, but he's still making money off of it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know it's like, again,
but in terms of
money off of YouTube is nothing, but like, I mean, it's free for you, but then like, I mean, that's where the values, like, he's giving you something of value for free, but in return, he's making something out of it that makes it worth for him to do. But then obviously all the added stuff. Yeah. I think it's all about, I mean, I'm just going to copy this as literally what everyone says, but it is literally like content creation now is all about creating like a personal brand. Like people buy into you as a person now rather than necessarily the product you sell. Like a lot of businesses now, they say like your TikTok shouldn't be forcing a product in front of someone's face because that doesn't interest anyone anymore.
No one goes on TikTok to buy stuff.
No, it's like storytelling, like get people actually involved in the whole process of your business. Like let them understand you as a genuine person behind your business, because people buy into a brand rather than just like something that you can buy in 30 other shops for different ranges of prices.
I do. What I find funny is you get people that use social media and they're just technically users. They just sit on it. They'll scroll through Instagram, scroll through TikTok, go on Facebook, maybe post their own photos or videos, whatever it is. But then you get, at what point do you then change from being a user to kind of a creator? And then with TikTok, for example, like when we were making videos, it was initially just watching it and then you post your first video and nothing really comes of it. At what point do you keep doing it? Because I mean, like people in our age group now, you see it all the time doing like running and gym and CrossFit and golf and all these things that are kind of in fashion at the moment. And it used to be 10, 20 years ago, you just do it and you'd be on the trend. But now, for some reason, everyone's filming themselves doing it and posting it, and it's growing like these little communities, and then they're benefiting from it because they're getting brand deals, they're getting sponsorships.
Yeah, I think it's just people now, like, I think the difference is a lot of people, I mean, my perspective anyways, you can either be the person that sits there and consumes the content for no real benefit to yourself, or you can be a person that provides the content and then you reap the benefits of it. Like, it's very easy to passively consume content, but at the same time, I think people want a slice of the pie. Like, I think more than ever, it's like accessible to everyone. Like, it's not like a closed off thing, and people are seeing like people from TikTok that are now turning it into actual careers. Like,
I think where I find it difficult is because I've kind of always loved creating content, like subconsciously, even like when it used to be,
love it.
It used to be like a video star on Facebook, and it was just like a video of you dancing to like a Mistletoe by Justin Bieber. Do you remember them on Facebook? I do. But like I was that kid that like filmed myself doing that, Musical.ly. And then obviously, I was never on Musical.ly. But then I always sort of like, when I used to skateboard, I'd film myself do that and post videos. When I went on family holidays, I'd film them and like edit them and put them on YouTube. And now, like, obviously got the podcast, was doing TikTok for a bit and started doing the YouTube stuff again. But because it's still so new, I feel like there's so many opportunities out there, but also it's quite scary because unless you've been doing it for years, like you don't really know how it works. So for us as well, this is all still quite new. We're filming on iPhones, we're kind of recording on mics that we're just going to Google what's decent for podcasts. And these were like not the worst, but not the best. Obviously we had a budget that limited us, but
I guess it's not too late to start that sort of thing, because relatively social media is still very in a very early phase, don't you think? Like, the social media is going to be absolutely massive.
Our kids' generation.
It's going to be ridiculous. They'll be on social media. They'll probably be on social media from the age of like 5, 6.
Yeah.
Babies now, you just stick an iPad in front of them.
But it used to be parents going, I don't want them to have an iPad, but because there's so many good things that they do now, it's kind of hard to say. You feel like you're limiting your child, I think, in a way, and if you don't give them the technology, because then when they come to school and their classmates are all like know how to like create content, or they know how to do stuff, like, because they've been doing it since they were little. It gives them a kind of a head start, I guess. I think moving on from social media and content creation, that's kind of great because that's what we're doing at the moment. But in terms of the guests that we've had on, their products or things that they were doing are a bit different. Like with James, it was his business that collaborated investors with small founders, or like, and then with Elijah, it was using his tokenization on the blockchain, and then with Jacob, it was fashion design and creating products for kind of consumers, and then with Nick, it was purely passionate about football, sports analysis. So it just shows like there's so many different avenues that you can go down. But it seems to be at the moment that if you film yourself doing it, like you get more benefits from it. I don't know why. Like, I think even as a physio, if you kind of created a channel and had followers, if you look at people like Jack Chew or Adam Meekins, who like they are just a physio, but they just post about it regularly on social media, and then that provides them opportunities. In my eyes, I just think, why wouldn't you do it? Unless like, kind of, I guess the only negative is then dealing with the backlash of you're going to have people that don't agree with what you say. It's kind of a bit like being a politician. Like you kind of part and parcel. You're going to have people that don't like you for just because of who you are.
No matter what you do, not everyone will be happy.
Yeah.
I think a big thing as well is like that makes it almost accessible is businesses are utilizing like people within social media a lot more. But like it's like Gymshark. You'd look at someone who's like really big, but they're always changing. Who like they almost have to move on from certain athletes because they're no longer the popular.
Yeah.
Like David Lade, I know he's in like a more hierarchical position, but like he was like the
face.
Goes to the gym, like everyone wanted to be David Lade. But now it's like, I mean, I look at the pictures now and it's people that I followed early days of TikTok that are now Gymshark like sponsored athletes, and it's like as if, but they're saying that apparently advertisement is going away from like your typical watching TV and like looking at an advert. Like now businesses are all just short form like content. Like you need to get people engaged like really, really quickly. Otherwise it's just a swipe and you're gone. Like there's nothing that's attracting someone. It's like TikTok now, unless you're literally like engaged within the first 5 seconds of watching a video, you've swiped onto the next one. It's mental. Like trying to get a hook like at the start of like even us, like me trying to make a clip, like trying to pick something that I think, again, it's all personal opinion, like I have to go through and think like what is going to get someone to not swipe off of it. And then you go and look and you got 300 views and you're just like, I've just sat there for 5 hours and edited that. I thought that was sick, and then but no one's shared like the same opinion. Like it's so tough.
Yeah, it's so imagine
like,
trying to get people
cutthroat.
Imagine trying to get people to listen to like a 45-50 minute podcast.
I know.
It's a joke.
It's
but saying
it's
that,
persistence of just like keep uploading.
I do think it's kind of switched a bit on YouTube in terms of if you look at like people like the Sidemen or Rick Shields or the Nelk or like the kind of the big channels on YouTube at the moment. Obviously that's more favourite to what I'm going to watch. But like
videos now,
they've changed from like 10-15 minutes and now everything's 50 minutes, an hour. Like
I guess not everything can be short form. Not everything.
No, it can't be.
Because now TikTok has taken short form to the extreme. That's probably why they've gone the other way on YouTube, because people you need a bit of both. You can't just not everything can be short form.
People are saying that like it's going to switch over from like what do you call it, Freeview TV to YouTube.
Yeah,
because
it's like everything's a movie now.
Yeah, like, well, like
1.5 hour, 2 hour videos.
If you click on the TV, it's usually like hour or half hour slots, isn't it? On BBC ITV Channel 4. And at the moment, you get home from school or work, and it's 5 o'clock, and it says, "The Chase" or whatever it is, Deal or No Deal. Now is back.
It would just be a Sidemen. It'd be a Sidemen on Monday night.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it'd be long. I think a lot of people now don't even bother watching those things because it's just like there's less value in that than watching something on YouTube that you actually get more from it.
It'll be interesting from our generation going forward, because obviously the people that are consuming that are like probably in their 40s. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love The Chase. Like, that is an absolutely banging program. But like, I don't know if it's with age, will we then like the stuff that we consume now, will we still have attachment to it, or will we just be to a point where unless they've moved on to keep up with our interest? There's so many facts though, because you'd be like, are they going to keep up with our interest, or are we then like the forgotten generation, and then they're focusing on the younger generation?
Why do you, this is a question. Why do you think it's the chase that our generation likes compared to every other sort of quiz show? Is it? But do you think they've sort of got more in touch with younger people? Like I know a lot of the quiz masters, the lady and the tall guy, they both do like club appearances and stuff like that. And I think it's the entertainment. But I think that
the Dog Destroyer.
Yeah, it goes to a club night in prison. Or
that definitely sort of engages with the younger audience, doesn't it? For sure. Like,
I think the entertainment factor definitely.
Because you ask any young person, if there's one quiz show you're going to watch, what you're going to watch, it's The Chase.
Used to be Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
They've probably done that on purpose because they know that it's going to die out.
It must be like the biggest
tipping point.
Yeah,
who's watched that? I don't.
Every now and I mean, probably millions of people, but, like millions. But yeah,
no, I think to say that YouTube's like overtaking it is probably true in some sense, but I think like still Freeview TV, majority of people will still watch, and definitely. I think because obviously the population is variety of ages, most people will probably still watch daytime TV, but not to say that the new stuff that's coming in isn't going to overtake that. Obviously, it has been like obviously COVID was a massive inflation for it, but it's going to keep growing. I think, in my opinion, I don't know, I could be wrong, that it's going to keep growing and keep growing and keep growing until eventually people get home and Freeview TV is just going to be kind of like what that's the old news, kind of like DVDs are now.
I think the point will be like how monitored it is, because especially like now more than ever of like the restrictions of opinions and like what you're allowed to say and what you're not.
Yeah.
The only issue YouTube's going to have is the way they like what you're allowed to say and what you don't. And then you've got people like Kick and Rumble who are like, you can come here and say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Like that's always going to be their not downfall, because they want to be very like PC, very in line. Like
I think it's the convenience of it as well. Like with YouTube and things like that, you can just click on anything you want. Like you don't have to wait for it. Like with Freeview TV, you've got to wait till 9 o'clock to watch the thing that you want to watch. Some people probably like that because
routine
maybe it builds suspense or it's routine. But with YouTube and all these things, like all you have to do is sit down and click on it.
Well, it's like you said with TikTok, people just want it quickly. And like now, like people are paying like YouTube Premium subscriptions, so they don't even have to watch the adverts to save 20
just
seconds.
To remove another like something that's like in their way. It's crazy.
It is clever from YouTube because they're going to show adverts either way, and then they're
that's
like,
how they make their money.
We'll take your money and not show you the adverts, or you can watch them and the adverts will pay us the money. So it's like,
they know that everyone hates adverts, but they know that some people absolutely hate adverts and would pay.
For the year, you can get rid of it. It's mental.
I always wonder that with adverts, like what's the conversion rate and how do they calculate it? Obviously, you must have actual stats, but we're going to spend 250 grand to put this on YouTube, and they'll show it for the next 3 months on most videos. Like, how do they know like that's the I guess KPI that is going to come back and show that investing that money on YouTube is brought in more than that? Yeah, I'll leave that for the marketers and the people that are good at analytics. That's not our strong point. Right, I think it's a good little conversation. I'd like to finish off with some like would you rather questions. It's a bit of my strong point, isn't it? The would you rathers. So, question 1: would you rather film a podcast and have to release it every week, or never do one again? So this is kind of just like looking at your commitment
for the rest of your life.
No, not for the rest of our life, but just like saying for the next year, we've got to film and release one every. If we're going to be committed, would you rather film one and release it every week, kind of like some people do, or would you say I'm never doing it again? Like, how committed are you to the podcast?
You'd film one every week, yeah, definitely.
Would you be happy to do that?
Yeah, I think so, because it's what we discussed earlier. It's either you do it or you don't do it, and if you don't do it, I guess you're just passive, aren't you? You're not.
What's your opinion?
I'd agree.
It'd be hard.
I think either or, I'd have to go for doing it, because I'd rather do it than not do it.
Yeah. Right, if you're watching or listening, that's the right answer. I forgot we had listeners as well. I think it's so easy to go, oh, it's too much, I'm not going to do it. But I think the answer has to be yes, because you might, if you try and you fail, great. But if you never try in the first place, then you never know, do you, if it's going to work.
I'd rather be on the end of the creator side of it than the consumer of it.
Yeah,
definitely. I feel like I'd rather like give some value. Well, I hope I can give some sort of value rather than just be someone that meaninglessly consumes just a load of.
Not necessarily meaningless, because you can learn lots from it and then apply it in your own life.
90% of it is absolutely meaningless. If you go on TikTok, alphabet, mate.
So, second, would you rather question?
Yep.
Would you rather start your own business, knowing all the stresses that we've learned from all our guests of time management, organisation, working long hours, or I guess, and it's or kind of just work for someone else and be an employee for the rest of your life, so you never have the stress of kind of if it all goes wrong, it's on you?
I think me personally, I'm probably more suited to working for someone else. Personally, when I look at my skills and attributes, it's probably, I don't think I've got the sort of not drive, but like I don't think I've got the right toolkit to.
I think it might come with time though.
Work for myself.
I think
at the moment, I don't think I've got that extra probably willpower to go and just. I guess if we look at the fold,
if we look at someone like James, he was probably not thinking that as well. And then when someone offered it to him, he was like, maybe I could. And then he did it.
Yeah, I mean, never say never.
Yeah.
But I think right now,
I think the benefits of being an employee are obviously great in terms of
job security.
Yeah. Well, yeah, depending on who you work for, job security, and you've got the benefits that you'll have annual leave. You've got the routine, of course. Yeah. And there's that kind of ladder of promotion.
I feel like it depends on like,
what would you rather?
Definitely number one, 100. I'd much rather,
well,
I think it was like, I watched the thing where Mark Cuban was like, I'd rather earn like 50 grand a year and work for myself than earn 100, 200k a year, but I'm under the rule set.
Really? Why?
Of someone else. Because it's his own, it's like freedom. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but I don't know, I feel like it is almost like you're just proud of yourself because you've almost created like your own thing, and you're not like, I'm not saying people that are employed are like, I mean, I'm employed. I'm not saying I'm like reliant on those people. Like I can completely get why it's attractive to a lot of people because it's like security, a lot of perks, a lot of benefits. But I don't know, I just feel like in one stage of my life, I'd like to take the risk at some point and just try and make something like by myself. I'm not saying it means like I've got to not be employed and do it alongside and see where it goes. But I'd never shut down the possibility of trying to do something by myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a weird thought in the car the other day. You can tell me if this is weird or not, but I was thinking, I was driving home from work and I was like, I've got to take my car in at the weekend for its service. It's going to be free, 300 quid, 350 quid. And I was like, that's not going to leave me with much till the end of the month. And it's Christmas coming up and I've got to buy presents and like,
poor timing.
Obviously rent's just come out and bills have just come out. And I was just thinking, it was good to be rich, wasn't it? It'd be well good to be rich. Then I just thought, I sat there and I was like, but if I was rich then I wouldn't care. I'd send the money off and it wouldn't even be a thought. But I quite like the fact that like, I have to think about it and be like, but then that gives me that motivation to get to a position where I don't want to have to think about it. Because it'd be so nice to go, oh, my car's going in for a service, that's great, I'll stick it on the card.
The thing is, I bet you rich people will 100% still think that's 300 quid.
Yeah.
100. Have you seen, what's Graham, have you ever seen Graham Stefan? He's got his own podcast. Yeah. He's like the stingiest rich person
ever meet.
I think, again, it's like, it's one of those principles that's probably got them to where they are, the whole sacrifice. Well, exactly. They're not going to then...
They're not stupid.
I don't think they just turn the switch of then just...
I think there's something nice though about like knowing that potentially that's to come. Like knowing that that 300 quid doesn't mean as much. I think that's a nice feeling. Like,
it's not gift. Like
obviously it's horrible. It's horrible now to be like, I've got to spend 300 quid on something that I don't really want to spend it on. And
that's why people when people come into money, like they earn the money themselves, they appreciate it more. Yeah. Whereas when they're born into it, it's because they've never not had it. They don't appreciate that feeling that you're talking about.
Which I understand as well. If you're used to it, why would you?
But I think there's something quite nice. I don't know if that's me or if that's a bit weird, but just like knowing that like, oh, I'm gonna have to kind of spend a bit more this month than I wanted to, but hopefully one day I'm not gonna have to do that. Like, I feel like that's quite nice.
I think going back to what the question was I bet you the people who like you'd imagine 300 quid isn't a lot to, they're probably thinking. They probably understand what 300 quid is compared to way more than what most people do.
But I'd much rather not care about spending the money. Care about it. To answer your question, I'd much rather not care.
Right, final would you rather, and then we'll wrap it up. Close to Christmas, so little pun there for anyone that was wondering. Right. So, would you rather have a podcast where it's just us three? Or have a podcast where we have guests on regularly?
Guests on regularly.
Guests on regularly.
Yeah, that was a bit of a silly question. I knew you were going to say that.
Guests on regularly.
Yeah, I think it's great to have guests on because we learn so much. We're trying to figure out ways where we can have podcasts where it's just us three as well, because obviously not every week we're going to be able to get like every guest on. They might be busy or we might not have the time when they're free. So I think if we can think of like interesting topics and like stuff like we have today, like kind of just winged it a little bit and just ended up having a good conversation about content creation and the kind of how it's growing and stuff. I think because we set out to do the podcast as What Do People Do, and obviously that entails like interviewing people and working out what they do, but also I think that
was the main aim, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think if we find anything interesting or if we've got anything that we want to talk about, I don't think we should be shy about talking about it as well, because I think there's a lot of value in like things that we think and feel as well, that other people are probably feeling the same, especially people in our age group, people that are young working adults who kind of don't really know whether they want to stay in that job and get that promotion and then know that they're going to have to be there for another few years, or whether they take that risk, leave and kind of apply for another job and just hope that like something changes. It's like there's a famous saying, grass isn't always greener. It's like people get stuck in that position where they don't leave and don't apply because they're scared that it might be worse than what they're in.
Yeah.
But it's a horrible position to be in, because unless you're loving your job every day or loving what you're doing, which is great for people that kind of are in a position, like I saw Ed Sheeran, you know, Parsons, the guy that interviews Eddie Hearn, he was interviewing Ed Sheeran and he was like, so what's your daily routine? Like, what's your work like? He's like, and Ed was like, I don't really have a daily routine of work because like my passion is my work. It's like, I just go to the studio and play guitar, make songs, and that's like, and then I go home and do it again. And I feel like not many people have that feeling or passion about what they're doing. But I don't know, I think there is value in conversations between us three as well, other than kind of having to just rely on guests as well.
I agree.
But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. It's November, nearly December. It's getting colder. Hope you've all got your coats on and your hats, maybe gloves if you've got a bad circulation to your fingers.
Reynards.
But yeah, it's been good to be back. I think we'll try and record more episodes more regularly. So stay tuned. Keep that notification bell on if you're on YouTube or if you're on Apple Podcast or Spotify. I don't know if you can do that, but have a look, see if you can.
Probably some sort of
if you could follow us, that'd be great. If you could subscribe on YouTube, leave any comments, any guests you'd love to see. I know your mum's really good at leaving comments. If anyone else would like, if anyone else would like to leave comments, we'd really appreciate that. If you found the podcast useful or you can relate to what we're saying and kind of feel in a similar way, then that'd be really good as well to know that. So we know we're kind of helping with those feelings. And a like is always helpful as well. If you fancy, if you don't like it, press the dislike button, but we won't really appreciate that. That wouldn't be great.
Just if you don't like it, just scroll past.
But yeah, if you want to come on, I know some of you are like itching to get on.
There is an application form in the description.
We'll take anybody and anyone as long as you're still breathing. You can email us at WhatDoPeopleDoPodcast@gmail.com. You can leave a comment. You can message us on any of our socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Are you done yet?
What else are we on?
Jesus.
Sorry.
No one's still watching at this point.
If you're still listening, I'm proud of you. If you're not, if you're not listening or watching, then
don't blame you.
Fair play, fair play. But yeah, have a nice rest of your day. If you listened in the morning, if you listened in the evening, have a nice sleep.
Shut up and wrap it up.
It's July soon.
Goodbye.